Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hands together, girl. First of all, this is Little Miss. What should we name her? Hello Lux Kitty. Hello Kitty Lux. Professor Luck. I don't know. Also, I know that she's kind of cut off, but she does have feet. She's cute, huh? Also, I've really been feeling the little ponytail vibe lately, so this might be my new signature thing. Who knows? I don't know, maybe. Anyways, I hope you guys have been doing well. I hope you enjoyed your September. It's almost come to an end. It's almost time for Halloween month. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And honestly, it's fitting because today's video is a little spooky. There might be a jump scare or two with, Jeffree's face. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean. Well, actually, maybe I should be because he's been very mean. Very, very mean to the trans community lately. And it's just very disappointing. He's been saying the craziest things in his TikTok lives and posting crazy ass TikToks like this one. Actually, maybe I'll save it for the end. This TikTok is wild. You're not going to believe it. But just saying the craziest things and doing a complete 180 from his pro-trans stances that he used to have. So for today's video, we're going to react to some of the clips that I've seen on TikTok of him going off on the trans community. Should be fun. If you guys are new here, my name is Samantha Lux. I'm a trans woman. I post videos twice a week on my channel and give you guys my opinion on, different things going on in the world. So if this is the first time that you're seeing me, or if you've seen me a couple times and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. I'll wait for you. Go ahead. Waiting. Are you done? Thank you very much. I also stream on Twitch several times a week where we play video games and we do like little baking content. So yeah, if you guys have a Twitch channel, make sure to follow me over there. Yeah, with no further ado, let's get into the video. I have a lot to say. So if you don't know who Jeffree Star is, first of all, this is what he looks like. Wild for a man that looks like this to be coming for the trans community, first of all, but that's not my business. Got his start in music back on MySpace a long time ago. He's like ancient at this point. I'm sorry. I'm being a little feisty today because he's made me upset. But yeah, he's been around for a while. And yeah, he's always had this very androgynous look. He's always had a very androgynous personality, you could even say. He has the crazy long nails, he has the pink hair, all that stuff. He got even more famous when he started his YouTube channel, maybe like 10 years ago at this point. And, he was parading around with all the LGBT community. He even had Nikita Dragon on his channel a lot. And if you don't know who Nikita Dragon is, very famous trans woman. We love Nikita. And back then he was super pro-trans. He had her in a video saying, I'm so proud of you for your transition. This is so inspirational for so many people. And this is a great thing. This is amazing. For that reason, it's been so shocking to see him in the last few years kind of do a complete 180 on his stances and, start going after non-binary people who use they, them pronouns. And now he's going after, the trans community as a whole, or, at least the people he doesn't deem as acceptable trans people. This last week, he went onto Instagram Live and talked about Charlie Kirk's assassination and talked about the trans community a bit more. So let's first of all watch that, and then I have some thoughts on both of those things. So let's watch.
Let me say this. I think some people were shocked that I had sympathy. You were shocked that I had sympathy for someone that got what? So, okay, anyway, as someone who's been on social media for a very long time, I enjoyed scrolling on TikTok and seeing his debates. He was a very intelligent person. And it's so funny that these people never have a real answer. How come they never have a real answer back? He literally is just asking simple scientific facts. Can someone tell me why no one can ever answer a real question? He asked what the definition of a woman was. And that man said back to Charlie, a woman is whoever thinks they're a woman. My brain is losing, my IQ is lowering every time I see one of these people respond to him.
The famous, what is a woman question? Love that question here on this channel. I want to start by first addressing what happened to Charlie Kirk, because I think that first of all, it's important to talk about. And I think that there's also a lot of unfair narratives going around about the trans community following this attack. Let me just say that I fully disagree with, almost everything that Charlie Kirk stood for, everything that he believed in, everything that he advocated for. And admittedly, I will not miss him. He said horrible things about my community. He said that if his 10-year-old daughter was assaulted, that she would have to carry her baby to term. He said that gun deaths were a necessary consequence of protecting the Second Amendment, and said that empathy was a modern day phenomenon that did a lot of damage. So needless to say, I didn't agree with a lot of what he stood for. Despite that, I have been deeply, deeply disturbed by this assassination. I can't help but think of, his children and think of the students who were there to engage in political discourse that had to to, witness what happened to him. And I can't imagine going through something like that. It is devastating and very undeserved. I want to make it clear to anybody listening that political violence is not how we get out of the very horrible situation that we are in. In fact, it will likely, if not 100%, lead to worse situations for minority communities, as we're already seeing happen now. I genuinely hope that his children and whoever had to witness this horrible act are able to heal and they're able to find peace, and that we as a country are able to focus on actual solutions to what's happening and avoid pointing fingers. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that. Now, on a slightly less heavy note, I want to talk about this whole what is a woman question, right? The infamous, what is a woman? Define a woman. Firstly, this question was designed intentionally to invalidate a trans identity. That's quite literally the only reason that it's asked. As a trans person, I really appreciate the people that will respond to this question and say that anybody that identifies as a woman is a woman in the name of validating a trans person, because I think that's nice. I think that's the right thing to do, right? However, I do think that this question requires a bit more nuance than this debate format allows for. So let me just put on my little Professor Hello Kitty glasses. I don't have any. I should get some little nerdy glasses. I don't know. Being trans is such a hard thing to explain to people that aren't trans. So just bear with me a tiny bit, okay? I know for a fact that I am not the same as a biological female. Okay, I'm very aware. I took high school biology honors, got an A. I'm very aware of that, okay? I am very aware that, your typical female is somebody that is born with XX chromosomes. They have, female reproductive organs, shebang. That's not to say that every single female has those things, but your typical female does. And I understand that. I will never have XX chromosomes. I will never have female reproductive organs. However, I do believe that what I do have is a very, very deep internal sense of gender that is a woman. It's something that's been a part of me my entire life. I have tried very hard to get it to go away, but it won't. It's there. I've had to accept it. I've had to learn to embrace it and love it. That's just who I am. This is actually something that can be explained with science. I know we have a bunch of science nerds out there that'll try to discredit a trans identity with biology and science, but this is actually explainable by science because, your brain develops a sense of gender or a gender identity, if you will, at a different point than when your sex characteristics develop. So, there is a possibility for a mismatch, which I think is what happened to me, but that's just my own theory. And at the end of the day, I really don't think the science matters. We don't accept that gay people are gay because we found a gene that points to them being gay and there's nothing they can do about it. My dog just sneezed. Bless you, birdie. We just accept that they're a human being and that they deserve to live their life on their own terms. In the very similar way, trans people, me, myself, I'm a human being who for 17 years felt deeply, deeply uncomfortable with, the gender that I had to present as. And it was only through transition and through living my life the way that I live my life now as a trans woman that I've been able to find comfort and find peace in my life. And I think that everybody should, as long as they're not hurting anybody, have the right to live their life in a way that makes them feel comfortable and, in a way that feels natural to them and in a way that brings them peace. I want that genuinely for everybody. Even you, Jeff. I can't get over the fact that he looks like this and he's trying to tell people that they're scientifically not real or something like that. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Jeff, with the pink hair and full face of makeup? But it didn't stop there. I wish it had. I really do. But he kept going. So let's watch the next part.
There are real trans people on the planet that aren't doing this circus. This person with a mustache wants to be called a woman. Okay, well, in your circle of friends, they can call you that. But if you go to Walmart and you expect the cashier checking out your groceries to call you a she, you are very, very, very delusional. When I was growing up, a trans woman was not this. They presented themselves very feminine.
You talking about me? Sorry, girl. Okay, that person isn't trans. I'm sorry. That's not me saying I can say who is trans and who isn't trans and they're not a real trans. I'm not doing that kind of thing. If you watch the full video, they literally just don't claim to be trans at all. They just don't.
Let's pretend you say you are a woman.
Let's pretend.
And I've always thought these things. I'm not changing my mind or anything. But I do agree that as the trans community, we should not be lashing out at people who misgender us, especially when it's accidental. I think that people use the pronouns that, come instinctually to them. In the beginning of my transition, I, of course, was misgendered because, I was just starting out or whatever. It hurt me, of course, because I knew who I was and I knew the way that I was trying to present. But I understood that maybe I'm not there yet. I understand. But to be so for real with you, I've met a lot of trans people in my life and none of them have ever gotten like angry with somebody for misgendering them. None of them. The trans people that I've met are very reasonable people. Like, we're not dumb. We know like what the tea is, you know? Like I said, we may get sad, but we understand that, you know, pronouns a lot of times are instinctual and maybe they just don't get it or whatever. But if I tell you that I'm trans and you refuse to use those pronouns and you just call me he, him repeatedly, like just to like spite me because I'm trans, I might say you're mean because that's a mean thing to do. I'm sorry. And I will stand on that. You're being mean. That's just unnecessary. But like Jeffree said in his video, he knows trans women. He knows how we act. He knows that we're reasonable people, at least the people that he's met, but he would prefer to agree with this framing because it's popular right now to say that all trans women are just insensitive men playing dress up. It's literally just marketing. And if you need more proof of that, let's watch this next clip where he implies that trans kids are only trans because they're pushed to be trans by their parents.
And try to switch my gender. Are you kidding me? I just don't understand how we've gotten here as a culture. I just don't understand it. My mother told me, play and make up all you want. She didn't take it away. She didn't ground me. She didn't try to force me to play football. She let me be creative and figure out who I wanted to be. She never bought me women's clothing. She never took me to the doctor. She never tried to put me on medication. She never tried to do anything but be a loving parent. And look how I turned out.
You've seemed like you've grown into be a very kind and gentle person, yes. First things first, I do agree, and I think it's great when parents allow their children to express themselves in healthy ways, right? Of course. And I truly do think it's great, and I'm happy for Jeffree that he feels like he was able to express himself and that, you know, everything worked out for him. I feel like that's a great thing. But now, Jeff, let's be clear. Him turning out to be a feminine man and not a trans woman does not negate the fact that trans youth exists. I remember vividly being in preschool and wishing that I could wear the princess dresses like my friends were, and I remember being confused at why at our little preschool graduation I was given a little toy truck game and my friends were all given like princess games. I remember wearing bandanas around my head and around my waist to resemble hair and to resemble a skirt. I remember all of that, and you know, those feelings never went away. I just stopped once I realized that the world needed me to conform. And you know, despite the world around me and my parents not allowing me to do these things, I never grew out of those desires. Like, clearly, right? I was a trans kid, and not because my parents pushed me to transition. They actually did quite the opposite. I never even knew that transition was a possibility growing up, and yet I'm still here. I'm still trans. And it's not just me. You know, I've met so many trans kids. I've met so many parents of trans youth. And the one thing that I'll say about them is the amount of love and the amount of care that they have for their children does not negate their hesitation. Oftentimes makes it stronger. In this video, Jeffree gets emotional and he says that he's proud of his mom for allowing him to be exactly who he was and not pushing him to transition and not, you know, not allowing him to express himself. And I'm so happy for Jeffree that he feels that way. And I'm so happy that his mom allowed him to express himself fully. But don't trans kids deserve the same? Me personally, I cannot wait until we can get out of this era of just being mean to other people to make money and to get clout. It's not natural for human beings to act this way. Like, we're supposed to have empathy for one another. We shouldn't be doing these types of things. We shouldn't be posting things like this. After he went live and said the things that he said that we just watched, and people were, you know, understandably upset with him, he posts this TikTok where he says, "Ever notice how dogs are only born male and female, and cutting their balls off doesn't make it a female?" I don't know. It's just so mean and it's just so unnecessary. And also very strange coming from somebody who has had numerous procedures to look more feminine and to affirm their, you know, androgyny, right? Just to be a little bit of a nerd. First of all, there are intersex animals. They don't come in just male and female. So you're wrong. Second of all, human beings are not dogs. We live in a world that has social constructs, that has social meaning and social rules to it. We're not animals. I mean, technically we are, but like, we're different than dogs. And thirdly, for this comment that cutting off their balls doesn't make it a woman or doesn't make it female, it's just a mischaracterization of why trans people have surgeries. I've always said, you know, a few years ago when I was responding to that TERF that made a video about me, and her whole video was based on the fact that, you know, I believe that my surgery made me a woman and all these other crazy things. I said in that video, and I'll say it to Jeffree, that my surgeries did not make me a woman. I've always had a gender identity of being a woman. I've always had this deep internal sense of identifying as a woman. The only purpose of my surgeries were to make me feel more comfortable in my body and to make me feel less distress about my body. And like I said earlier, everybody deserves to live comfortably. Everybody deserves to feel at home in their body, including Jeffree, including trans people. So I cannot wait until we can get away from this meanness that has taken over the internet. Yes, it's probably making you a lot of money right now, but is it worth it to dehumanize other people? I don't think so. But anyways, I threw away my Jeffree Star mirrors a long time ago, so I have no merch to destroy, unfortunately. That's pretty much it for this video. That's all I had to say in response to these claims. You know, it's a grift. It's all for money, and it's really disappointing. Like I said earlier, my name is Samantha. I post new videos twice a week on my channel, so if you guys are not yet subscribed, please make sure to subscribe right down below. I would love that. But yeah, other than that, I think I'm gonna go. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.